And for more on the spiraling diplomatic row between India and Canada, Gurharpal Singh, Emeritus Professor of Sikh and Punjab Studies at SOAS, University of London, joins us live from Leicester. Professor, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. This bitter diplomatic spat has boiled over to Sikh communities in both Canada and India. Should we be concerned about an escalation of violence?
Well, I don't think in the immediate future that there is much prospect of this dispute leading to violence, either from the Sikh community or within India. But it has the potential in the long term, if it's not satisfactorily resolved, of leaving issues that might simmer and then potentially lead to further violence.
Well, Professor, from your perspective, what caused tensions on this issue to escalate so very quickly?
I think what has happened is that we've had a series of events, both in the Punjab and in the diaspora this year, dating from March onwards, which led to protest in the diaspora and the killing of the Sikh activist in Vancouver. And these events have largely gone under the radar and only been noted by people involved in the subject. But what has come to the surface and has really escalated the tensions are the claims made by the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, in the Canadian House of Commons, that there were credible allegations against the government of India and the role of its agents in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar in June this year.
Professor, you said there have been a series of events in Punjab and the diaspora. Let's look at the Khalistan movement, which for decades has been calling for the formation of an independent Sikh state in India. Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was killed in Canada, supported this movement. Why is this now fueling the rift between India and Canada?
Well, the movement for an independent Sikh state really took off and gained currency in the early 80s and the 90s. But it lost its potency very much after the militancy in Punjab declined in the mid-1990s and the 2000s. So what has happened in the last few years is we've had an uptake in militancy in Punjab or militant actions, but also a wholesale mobilization of Sikh farmers in 2021 against the agricultural laws to deregulate farming that gave the militancy another wind. And then the events this year from March to May in Punjab, when a radical preacher supporting separatism was detained and there was a general clampdown on his followers. So a series of events have come together to create as it were, a scenario for the militancy for the militancy in the diaspora to be revived and the old networks to be revived also.
Now, on the diplomatic front, the two sides have expelled each other's diplomats and trade talks are frozen. What's it going to take to cool tensions at this point?
Well, we are at a difficult moment in the Indo-Canadian relationship, and we've been there before in the 80s and 90s. I think the way forward for both countries is to realize that the stakes are very high. The stakes are very high both for Canada and for India. Canada in terms of trade and the relationship with India because of the large number of Indians and Indian Sikhs of Indian origin, nearly 800,000 who live in Canada. And then for India, which is seeking to establish its role in world politics, as as we just witnessed, the G20 meeting that has taken place in Delhi. So India does not want its reputation and power and influence to be tarnished by allegations that it is part of extrajudicial killings in another friendly country. So I guess there will be a momentum to take the heat out the situation and for want of a better term, to settle this dispute out of court, out of the public limelight. This might be possible, if there's a gradual, step-by-step process of accommodation. But there's one a difficulty here. Primarily, the Sikh community, as you've shown in your broadcast, is highly mobilized in Canada, and they are sure to make the situation for any private settlement with the government of India and between Canada and India difficult.
Thank you for your insights, Gurharpal Singh, Emeritus Professor of Sikh and Punjab Studies at SOAS University of London.